Welcome back to the Pilates Exchange. I'm your host, Hannah Teutcher, and I am joined by my wonderful husband today, Christian.
Hello, I'm back again. My name is Christian. Welcome back.
Great. Today, for our theme, we've decided that we would like to talk about, let's say, the evolution of someone in the Pilates world right now, because we're seeing it more and more from people that are clients, they love Pilates, into they want to teach Pilates. And then the next step, they would like to own a Pilates studio. So we thought today we're going to talk about what we believe like each of those steps maybe should have, or the qualities maybe that those evolution has. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Like you're just saying that, like the step from becoming from a student to a teacher, and then taking a teacher training, and then becoming or being a certified teacher, then opening up the studio.
Right. So um, yeah, let's start with someone that is taking some Pilates classes and they decide that they love this and this is the method that changed their life, because this is, it happened to me, it happened to you. This is sort of the evolution there. What do you think a person what makes a great teacher? How do you know that this is something for you? This is a trick question.
I mean, that's actually a question to the person who is wanting to open up the studio or wanting to do a teacher training. But I would say I think it's like one of these things. Sometimes you don't know what's waiting for you outside in the world, and you just get hit by it, by the method. You like it so much that it helped you maybe coming back from an injury, or you had like a hard time in life, and that was the place where you feel comfortable in the Pilates studio taking the class. And I think the good thing is that you have to be convinced that it's a good method for you and for the future people you're going to teach. Because if you're not convinced, if you don't, then it makes no sense, because you're always then kind of hesitant and questioning yourself. So I think that would be one ingredient.
Absolutely. I think that the best teachers that I know have had, like, they're passionate about it, and it has really made a difference in their life, because if they understand the transformative power of the method, then I think that it's an easier one part of an easier sell for that teacher training. Do you think that there's like a minimum number of hours that a person needs to be a client before they enter teacher training?
I mean, it depends on if you have kind of already experience with your body, with movement, then it's always good to take a couple of classes before I decide and to take a teacher training. But I would probably, then you learn faster and you get more out of it if you would have like at least 50 classes, I would say is
Yeah.
a good number.
I think that there's such a wide range, just like you're saying, Chris. I think there's such a wide range of physical capacities. So like some people will have a faster time than doing it. Like I know some of our clients that decided to do teacher training later, they've done hundreds and hundreds of classes before they decided to become a teacher. So it really is subjective probably. But I think what is very, very helpful is to have a really good understanding of the method in your own body. I think that makes it a lot easier, because especially I've seen this trend worldwide that the teacher trainings are getting shorter and shorter, so you have less time to integrate all that knowledge of the before you go out and start teaching. We know that teacher training is just it's a small part, like you then have to start teaching and you learn a lot on the job, but it is certainly helpful when you have that experience in your own body.
Yeah, and what I said before, some people make that route from in one class. Some people, it maybe takes them 250. Yeah, yeah. I also see now that the teacher training is getting shorter and shorter. As you said, it's just, I think this is my personal opinion, it's just the fitness industry found a way to do a shortcut. It's faster sellable, but this is a different topic. Maybe we're going to cover the next time.
I think so too. So I think that the qualities of I think that doing a teacher training is really interesting. I don't think that everyone that does, sometimes it's very valuable to do a teacher training and you don't actually, you decide in the middle of it that you don't actually like teaching. That has happened on multiple occasions from people that I've seen in my life, that they get into it and they realize, hey, this is actually not my jam. I actually love doing it. I don't love teaching it, because they are really two different things. Um, what do you do? You agree?
This is, for example, this is with me and yoga. I'm just like kind of a half certified yoga teacher, but I just realized for myself that it's just for me. I like to take yoga classes. I don't feel like teaching it. So this is exactly what you just said. It's
Yeah,
with me and yoga.
yeah, and like you know, that's okay. You don't have to teach everything, and you could also go into teacher training and think, hey, this is my jam. I'm going to do this for, and then just realize, hey, this is like so people intensive, that it couldn't. Maybe it doesn't fit. What do you think? Um, who are the people that fits best to becoming a Pilates teacher, do you think?
I think people, like you said, they're passionate. They're people that just see that they can help other people with the way they see things. And people, they maybe have been working with other people before. So it's just one thing knowing one method, it's just bringing it across is something else. I think it's going to be a lot of passion, a lot of patience has to be there, and the willingness to never give up and just to try, and also kind of redefine your thinking, always challenge yourself and never be kind of um, content with what you have, with what you teach. And I think that's really important. Maybe I was just describing myself in the a second ago, but I think that suits really well.
I think so too. I think that I agree with you on so many of those points. I think that if you are someone that is deeply curious, you just like to learn, because you will have to continue to learn the lifetime of that you're a teacher. That's one thing. I think that the best teachers are very generous people. They love to give of their knowledge, they love to communicate. You have to be a good communicator, or at least willing to do that. Um, and yeah, and in the end, it is a service industry. So you got to really like people to be here.
Yeah, so if you don't like to work with people, that's not the right job for you.
Definitely not.
If you or then also, for example, if you just go to the grocery store and then you have to pick up some other errands and then you're already done with people, that's also not the job for you. You have to be like kind of pretty relaxed about it, and like what I say, don't take things personally, because just be open-minded like you said, and then you have a good chance of making it your own future job.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that anyone needs to have an advanced practice to be able to be a good teacher or to enter teacher training. I don't think that's necessary. Actually, some of the best teachers that I know, um, don't have never been able to do some of the advanced exercises, but they are brilliant teachers nonetheless. So that's something I wouldn't put on my criteria.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I think most of people, what I said before, they're coming from an injury and then they finally found this method, which they maybe wouldn't have never tried before, but then maybe it was their last option, maybe, or they just didn't see anything else, and then okay, I tried it, and then you realize, okay, it's working. Or sometimes your best friend is taking you to a class or something, you're like, oh, I don't really want to try it, I don't like it, I hate it, why are you doing this to me? And then all of a sudden, you never know, then it's you found your new passion.
That's true. That actually that's what happened to me in yoga, which is pretty funny. So many years ago.
Yeah.
um, let's talk about there. So there's that one. evolution from going to client to wanting to enter teacher training. And let's say that you've done the teacher training, and the next big thing that we see happening very fast now is from that into wanting to open a studio. And I have a lot of opinions about this.
It's a good question. It's a good
So
topic.
it's a really good topic. So, what do you see? What do you, on your side of things, what do you think you should know, or the qualities you should have to be a studio owner?
I think it's like the first thing what comes to my head is courage.
Mm,
And then I think also the second one what comes to mind, you need to have a vision. And then you need to kind of just trust your gut feeling, kind of, because it's kind of a scary situation that you open up your own studio, you're gonna put all this money out or just maybe take a loan or something. So I think it's a courage, vision, and what's the other one? Perseverance. Is that the right word? So
that's a great
never
word.
giving up. Yeah.
Mm,
So I think for me, these are the three main things.
mm. I agree with those, and I'm going to add on to it. I think
Hmm.
that you have to be, so you said courage. I agree with that. I think you need to be not risk adverse. You have to be able to take risky decisions because, like you said, there's just a lot going on money wise. Scary, there's some scary decisions that you need to make financially along the way. Um, I think that you need to be good at making decisions. That would probably be among my top qualities. If you have to go back and forth and I think a good decision process is good, but if you're just generally not good at making decisions quickly, I think this is a very hard business to be in. Um, Along with all those things, I believe that curiosity still has to be up on my top level because you have to get curious about a lot of things, especially in the beginning, because you have to learn everything from depending on how deep into the business you want to go to, like everything from learning the finances to marketing to planning for everyone. There'll be always different clients that come up with different things. You have to learn about that at the same time. So it's quite a lot of information overload. So you got to be good at managing that curiosity.
I think I would like to add another one. So
Mm-hmm.
vision, courage, perseverance, and you have to be realistic. Just
Mm.
going to give you a little example. If you just have this vision, which is not, let's say, realistic, I'm just giving you the idea what just popped up in my head. You have this idea, you open up your own studio, you took one class, you want to open up your studio with 2,000 square meters, 400 reformers, and you want to call it Pilates Palace, and you want to offer 24/7 classes from midnight to midnight. Will be a little bit. Please, everyone out there, if you call your studio Pilates Palace, please don't be offended. It's just what came to my head. Okay, this like kind of not realistic, and that makes no sense. So this is my fourth word. What I would like to add into the mix.
This episode is brought to you by Offering Tree. If you're running a Pilates studio on 4 different platforms, one for booking, one for your website, one for email, one for payments, you'll already know the toll it takes on your time. Offering Tree brings it all in one place, specifically for studios like yours. Real human support, a free trial, and everything your business needs to run without you being glued to it. Check them out at offeringtree.com/Pilates Exchange. That's offeringtree.com/Pilates Exchange. Or check out the show notes. I agree with you. It is definitely not one of those situations where if you build it, they will come. You got to have a firm understanding of like what the market can hold, where's your location, like all the real good business decisions. So I think that that type of mindset, you're so right, is essential for not just opening the studio, but maintaining the studio so it stays profitable.
Yeah, and then when we talk about the next thing, open up a studio, is then asking yourself, or what it needs is the question: would you like to teach yourself most of the classes? Would you like to do it full time, so you're earning your money, you're living with it? Or is this just like on the weekends, in the afternoon? I think that's also a really good question.
Yeah. I probably would say that the majority of people that we've had contact with over the last years that I've gone through some of our programs for continuing education, a lot of them are what we'd call like owner operators. So they own their studio and they're doing the majority of the teaching. I think that would make up the biggest slice of the pie. And that area is a really nice area to be in if you don't have too much overhead costs, because you can oversee what you're doing. You know all of the clients. You know there's probably less, hopefully less risk of the monthly overhead that you have. Of course, there's more responsibility though with that. Then there's the other side where you're teaching, you're owning, and maybe you have some other teachers that are working for you. That is a whole nother ball game of responsibility. Also very enriching, is very great, but that adds a layer of intensity. And then there's that other layer where there's people that we know of that have never taught in their lives. They have actually nothing to do with the method, and they are in it for the business aspect of it, and they just own the studio and have nothing to do with the teaching part of it. So that, of course, is always an option. And there's,
And then
there's some
it,
successful
yeah.
studios like that. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course, it's always good when you open up your studio that you maybe have a business background or a marketing background or something like that. Of course, that always helps. But I would like to talk about the other aspect is finances. So you need to be in a good spot where you maybe can go to a bank and the bank is going to give you some loan, or you have to start with something. It's not that you can buy the reformer or equipment, everything just for 20 cents around the corner. So that's also important, that you have to be in a kind of comfortable spot. You don't have to be a millionaire, but at least you need to have a good plan that's bringing me to, or maybe you can do that also later. It's like it won't be too bad if you have a business plan, which is probably also like completely tied into the finances.
Yeah.
What's your thinking?
Yeah, no, I agree that I don't think you should open a studio without having an understanding of how that financing is going to go. So I don't mean just taking, if you needed a loan, or if you um like getting a loan and having a business, that is a completely valid, and there's many ways to get money to start a studio, and it can be very profitable. But I think too many people overlook the very real risk that's involved with it, especially since the boom is happening. And unfortunately, I think that there's going to be a lot of people that are not so happy with the outcome because they don't understand the reality of the day to days, like how expensive it really is to run a studio.
Yeah, and then also depends on what kind of, in which country you want to open up the studio. There are some requirements, there's some taxes, there's some things you have to
Yeah.
put in consideration. That's also something. It always sounds so easy. I'm going to open up my studio next week, and everyone's like, wow. And then it's going
I
to
know.
be completely different.
I know, like I say on Instagram all the time, oh, 3 months ago I decided that I'm going to open a studio, and I'm looking at this place. I'm like, girl, that is going to be crazy. Like, I, my fingers are crossed. Like, fingers are crossed. Let's hope that it all works out. I always champion, it's because most of the businesses that, at least that I am seeing on the social media side of it, are young women, and I champion women making businesses for themselves 100%. So it's not trying to knock people down. It's just, I really want you to do some good planning before you get into it, because I want you to be successful. I want more women in business. I want more women to have not just in business, but successful business. But just do your diligence, do the work.
Yeah, then maybe then what comes to my head next is also if you have the idea but you don't want to do it yourself, opening up the studio, then you find yourself a partner.
Yes. And so I was
That
actually just, yeah, I was just coaching someone on this a couple weeks ago about um, all the steps, all the things you need to consider when you are opening a business with someone else. I think it could be a, a really great idea, depending on what that relationship is. But I really think you have to have great communication skills with whomever you are opening that with, and very strong um, parameters of who is doing what, and when you have problems, how are you going to solve them, and to really cross all those what do they say, dot the cross the
check the,
what, check the
check the boxes.
check the boxes. I can't even remember the what. Anyways, um of all the legalities of that, like who's holding the financial risk. But if you have all of that taken care of and you have the hard conversations before you start, I believe that it could be a very great way to have a business, because a lot of the time studio ownership is very lonely. So it's great to have someone to do it with.
Of course, it has to be the right partner, not like, and then you have some problems later, and then of course make sure that you have all these things properly divided and all the things you need, that there's not going to be any stress after
Yep.
that. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, so better to do it right from the very beginning. Talk about all the hard stuff. It's like basically, and it's not just a relationship. It's almost like entering a marriage with someone. Like, make sure you know the person that you're doing it with.
So what else what else it takes to open up the studio? So we said you finished your teacher training, you have your courage, your vision, your perseverance, and you're realistic. You like to take decisions. You have you know what you're doing. You have that background,
Yeah.
and then let's get started. Is there something else we're missing in the
I
mix?
I think that's yeah, you got to be willing to evolve with the business, and like you're going to be constantly learning, and as long as you're open for that, open for challenges, open for uncomfortable situations, because they come up, sometimes daily. um,
Yes, yes, especially in the beginning, and then there are
oh
probably
yeah,
also some things you're like, oh, then make yourself a list, ask other people what you need. So you go down and check the boxes. I need to do
yeah,
this one. I have to sign a paper here. I have to talk to this one. I need this one and stuff like that. It's probably
and
really important so you don't have any surprises.
yeah,
Do your
and
research, let's say.
yeah,
Yeah.
do your research, but also to know that there's, you don't have to do everything perfectly, that you learn along the way, and then there's a lot of people out there that are great coaches for this part of life. Like there's business coaches, there's teaching coaches, there's all sorts, like what our podcast exists for. We help not only, people that would like to be Pilates teachers, but we also help, studio owners just think about things a little bit differently. So sometimes you're going to have to do the work of like asking other professionals who have been in the business maybe a little bit longer for advice along the way, because there's no way that you can know everything at the start of your business.
Exactly. I think, yeah, that we have put all of our thoughts together, all of what it needs. If out there, our listeners, if there's something we miss, something you like to add to it, you're of course more than welcome to add it in the comments.
Definitely. Definitely. In the end, I would say that at least for us, this has been such a rewarding journey over the last, was it 11 and a half years of studio ownership? Many, many more years for me of teaching in the method. But, it's been a wonderful ride that has stretched me as a human being. And I hope that if this is the path you decide to take, I can only wish for such a magical journey as what I've been on.
Yes, I think there's always something going on, and you think sometimes you're prepared for this, then something else is coming. But if you just take it one step at a time, willing to clear it, not going to be stressed out. It's so much fun.
It is. Well, on that note, our dear listeners, we're wishing you another week of happy teaching, and we'll be back next week with our next episode. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with your friends or someone that you know that is thinking about opening a studio, and maybe even give us a little rating. That helps us get the word out. Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye, everyone.